Have you ever felt like something is guiding you to make decisions that you just can't explain with logic? Maybe it was a dream you couldn't ignore, or that feeling in your chest when something just doesn't sit right. You're not alone, and what you're experiencing isn't a coincidence. Jung, the legendary psychologist who dedicated his life to uncovering the mysteries of the human soul, left us a powerful message. Everything you need to transform your life is already within you. Think about it. How many times have you looked for answers outside yourself? Maybe in books, advice from friends, or even on social media. But what Jung discovered, and what few dare to explore, is that the deepest answers are inside you. This connection to your unconscious, what we often ignore or repress, is the key to understanding who you truly are. Even the fact that you're watching this video right now is no coincidence. Jung had a fascinating concept called synchronicity, which explains how certain events align in seemingly magical ways. When you're on the right path, something inside you brought you here, as if a part of you knew you needed to hear this message now. And that's the first step, recognizing that you're not here by accident. Throughout your life, you've probably felt moments of disconnection, as if you were following a script someone else wrote for you. Maybe you felt stuck in routines, in relationships that don't fulfill you, or chasing goals that seemed important only to feel empty once you reach them. That feeling of dissatisfaction is your unconscious calling you, asking you to look inward and find what truly matters. Jung taught us that within each of us lies a vast inner universe, full of symbols, stories, and meaning, waiting to be explored. Those strange dreams, those emotions you can't explain. Even the people who cross your path unexpectedly, they're all clues. Everything is connected, and your unconscious uses these signs to guide you toward your purpose. Imagine just for a moment that your entire life is like a giant puzzle. Some pieces fit perfectly while others seem out of place. The problem is, we often try to force pieces where they don't belong, simply because we're afraid to face the emptiness that comes from letting them go. But here's the secret. When you release what isn't meant for you, you make space for what truly is. And in that process of letting go, something incredible happens. The right people start showing up. Opportunities arise naturally, and most importantly, you find an inner peace that once felt unreachable. It's as if the universe, or your unconscious, is responding to your choice to live in alignment with your true essence. But this path isn't easy. Jung spoke about confronting our shadows, those parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Maybe it's a deep fear, an insecurity, or even a repressed desire you're ashamed to admit. We all have shadows, and most people hide them because they don't want to deal with the pain or discomfort they bring. But here's the truth. Shadows don't disappear just because you ignore them. On the contrary, the more you repress them, the more power they gain over you. They manifest in subtle but powerful ways, in relationships that drain you, in decisions driven by fear instead of trust, or in those moments when it feels like life is swallowing you whole. But it's not the universe conspiring against you, it's your unconscious begging you to pay attention. When you choose to face your shadows, when you choose to integrate them instead of running from them, something magical happens. You begin to take back control of your life. This journey toward authenticity takes courage. It means letting go of the masks you wear to fit in, releasing the expectations others placed on you, and daring to be who you truly are. But you know what's even better? When you do this, you don't just transform your own life, you inspire those around you to do the same. Dare to think about it. Everything that bothers you in others, everything that seems to throw you off balance, is often a reflection of something within yourself. Jung called this projection. What you see in others is in large part what you have yet to recognize or accept in yourself. The people who constantly challenge you are not there by accident. They're acting as mirrors to your own shadows, revealing what you need to work on. Imagine for a moment how much your life could change if, instead of reacting with anger or frustration to these situations, you simply observed them. It's hard, I know. But when you begin to notice your reactions, your patterns, and ask yourself, What part of me is being reflected here? You start to realize that every challenge is an invitation to know yourself better. That doesn't mean you should accept everything or let others hurt you. On the contrary, it means you now have the chance to set clear and healthy boundaries to protect your energy and consciously choose with whom and how you want to connect. Jung believed our energy is sacred and should be protected, as if it were the fuel that powers our life. When you learn to say no to what doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to what truly matters. Now here's where things get really interesting. Every time you choose to align with your authenticity, the universe responds. It's as if something greater than you begins to conspire to help. The right people begin to show up, closed doors start to open, and the things that once seemed impossible start to flow. This isn't magic, it's the synchronicity Jung spoke of. It's the result of living in harmony with your truth. But make no mistake, this process isn't about seeking perfection or eliminating chaos from your life. Chaos, in fact, is an essential part of transformation. Jung said there is no awakening of consciousness without pain. It's in those moments of confusion, when it feels like everything is falling apart, that you have the opportunity to rebuild from a place of greater wisdom and clarity. Think of it like a forest after a wildfire. Though everything may seem lost at first, over time, life begins to bloom again, stronger and more vibrant than before. That's how your inner process works. Every time you go through a difficult moment and choose to learn from it rather than resist it, you're allowing something new and beautiful to grow within you. This journey is not something that happens overnight. It's ongoing work, a daily practice of connecting with yourself. It's about learning to listen to your intuition, to pay attention to those quiet whispers we so often ignore, because we're too busy or distracted. That inner voice is your compass, and the more you listen to it, the easier it becomes to navigate life. And here's something important. You don't have to do it alone. While this path is deeply personal, it's also true that we're all connected. There's an invisible network that links us all. And when you open up to share your truth, you inspire others to do the same. It's as if by lighting your own candle, you help illuminate the path for others. I want you to take a moment now and reflect on something. What parts of yourself have you been ignoring? What dreams have you set aside because they seemed impossible, or because you were afraid to fail? Those parts of you aren't lost. They've been waiting patiently for you to recognize them and reintegrate them into your life. When you choose to reconnect with those dreams, with those forgotten parts of yourself, something incredible happens. You begin to feel an energy you thought you had lost. Your creativity, your enthusiasm, your passion for life, it all comes back. And that energy doesn't just benefit you, it impacts everyone around you. You become a beacon, a living example of what it means to live authentically. It all begins with a small step, the courage to pause and listen. In the noise of the modern world, where we're constantly bombarded with expectations, distractions, and external pressures, stopping might feel like an act of rebellion. But it's in that moment of silence, in that pause, that you can finally start to hear yourself. Your unconscious is always speaking, and you don't have to be a psychologist to understand it. It speaks through your emotions, your dreams, and those seemingly insignificant moments that resonate deeply within you. Jung said that when you start paying attention to those signs, you begin to build a relationship with the part of you that holds the keys to your wholeness. It's like turning on a flashlight in a dark room. Suddenly, things start to make sense. Think about those times when you had an especially vivid dream or a gut feeling that led you down the right path. Even if you couldn't explain it, these are windows into your unconscious, opportunities to understand yourself better. But it's not enough to observe them. You need to act on them. Every small step you take toward integrating these parts of yourself strengthens the connection with your truth. One of the biggest challenges on this path is facing your fears. Jung described fear as a shadow, something that seems large and frightening because we project it onto the world around us. But when you choose to face it, you realize it's nothing more than an illusion, an echo of something from The past that only has power over you if you give it that power. This process of confronting your shadows isn't about fighting yourself, but about fully accepting who you are. Even those parts of you that you consider flaws or weaknesses have something valuable to teach you. Jung called this the work of integration, taking all that you are, the good and the bad, and transforming it into a source of strength and wisdom. A practical example of this is paying attention to your relationships. Is there someone who constantly triggers strong emotions in you, whether positive or negative? That person might be reflecting something you need to explore within yourself. Maybe their lack of commitment irritates you because it reminds you of your own fears of failure. Or maybe you admire their confidence because it's a trait you long to develop in yourself. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn more about who you are. When you begin to see your relationships through this lens, instead of blaming others for how they make you feel, you take responsibility for your emotions and use these experiences to grow. That doesn't mean you should tolerate mistreatment or stay in toxic situations. On the contrary, it means you can set boundaries from a place of self-love and respect for your energy. Speaking of boundaries, let me remind you of something crucial. Taking care of yourself is not selfish, it's an act of love. Jung taught that our energy is limited and valuable, and that we should direct it toward what nourishes and uplifts us. If you're constantly giving everything to others while neglecting your own needs, you'll eventually feel drained and disconnected. Give yourself permission to prioritize yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Spend time on your passions, your dreams, the things that truly matter to you. By doing so, you don't just improve your own life, you also inspire those around you. It becomes a virtuous cycle. When you're well, you can offer the best of yourself to others. That brings us to something fundamental that Jung emphasized, the importance of reconnecting with your dreams. Do you remember who you were before the world's expectations began to shape you? Maybe as a child, you dreamed of creating, exploring, learning. But as you grew older, those dreams were replaced by responsibilities and fears. Jung believed those dreams don't disappear. They just hide in your unconscious, waiting for the right moment to resurface. Maybe that moment is now. Ask yourself, what used to light me up before I started doubting myself? What activity makes me lose track of time? The answers to these questions are a beacon that can guide you back to yourself. You don't have to change your entire life overnight, but every small step you take toward those dreams is an act of reconnection with your essence. Everything you've heard up to this point isn't just theory, it's an invitation. An invitation to begin the most important journey of your life, the return to yourself. It's time to let go of the doubts, the unintegrated shadows, and the patterns that have pulled you away from your truth. This is your moment. It doesn't matter how long you've spent following paths that didn't resonate with you. You can always begin again. Imagine what it would feel like to wake up each day aligned with who you truly are, knowing that you're living an authentic life. That's not a distant dream. It's something you can begin building today. The key lies in listening to yourself, in trusting those signals that come from deep within. Because when you allow yourself to be authentic, the universe aligns with you. Take a moment now and reflect. What could you release today that no longer resonates with you? What part of yourself could you accept, embrace, and integrate to feel more whole? The answer to those questions is your first step toward the transformation you've been longing for. And now I want to invite you to be part of something bigger. This message doesn't end here. If it resonated with you, if something in these words made you feel ready to change, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. It could be the spark that awakens something powerful in them, just as it's awakening something in you. Leave a comment below and tell me what touched your heart the most, or what your first step will be after hearing this. Your words not only have the power to inspire others who read them, but they will also help this message reach more people who need it. Together, we can create a community where authenticity, growth, and wisdom form the foundation for transforming our lives. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming messages. Every time you share, comment, or interact, you're helping this reflection reach someone who might be waiting for exactly this to change their life. Remember, this is not the end, it's just the beginning. Every decision you make, every action you take from this moment on, has the power to bring you closer to your best self. You already have within you everything you need to live fully. And if you ever doubt that, come back to this video, because I'll be here to remind you of who you truly are. Thank you for being here, for listening, and most of all, for daring to take this step toward your authenticity. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, keep seeking, keep exploring, and above all, keep believing in yourself, because the world needs more authentic people like you.